Hello friends, I hope you all are doing well. I, CA Pujan Kapadia, welcome you all on today's lecture of the subject Accountancy and Taxation. Before starting the topic, I would like to tell you what we are going to cover in today's lecture. First of all, we are going to deal with the introduction of the totally new subject you are going to study in Sybcom. Yes, friends, accountancy and taxation is one of the compulsory subject we are going to study in semester 3 and semester 4. The contents that we are going to cover today covers syllables, that what all are the topics that we are going to cover in the entire semester. Secondly is your paper style, that how the questions are going to be asked and what will be the weightage of that particular question. Third and lastly, I'm going to give a brief idea regarding introduction of the topics and especially the scope of the subject, that after studying the subject, where you can apply it in your practical life. As you all know, we are not going to cover only the theoretical aspect of all the topics, but we are also going to link it with our practical life, how it can be useful to you in your future. So, without wasting further time, I would like to start with the syllables of your semester. Unit number 1 is Departmental Accounts. This unit carries 20% of your weightage. The first point is Introduction. Under this thing, we are going to study what basically departmental accounts mean, what is its meaning, what is the importance of preparing departmental accounts. Just to give you the brief idea, departmental account means if a particular company is running a business, it is having two different departments. For example, if I take a textile company, under which there are two divisions, Department A and Department B. Department A is manufacturing grey cloth, while Department B is manufacturing shirt out of that grey cloth. So here we are going to prepare different set of accounts for Department A and Department B. This is a brief idea of departmental accounts. When we are going to take the lecture on this particular subject, we'll go in detail. The second topic that we are going to cover under this unit is basis of allocation of common expenditure. You are well aware that certain expenses cannot be allocated directly to the departments. So we need to learn how to allocate this expenditure between two departments. Like for example, in our example, if the entire company is paying a rent of rupees 1 lakh rupees, then how are we supposed to allocate this 1 lakh rupees? What is the proportion of this allocation between Department A and Department B? This thing will be covered under this topic. Third is inter-department transfer. This is basically accounting of the aspect when Department A sends cotton or a grey cloth from Department A to Department B. How we are going this to record this inter-departmental transfer will be covered under this one. And last, the most important part is preparation of departmental accounts. Like we are going to prepare set of accounts which will be covering departmental trading account, departmental profit and loss account, general profit and loss account, and balance sheet. So this is your entire unit 1 departmental accounts, the weightage of which is 20%. Second unit is investment accounts, which is basically covered by Accounting Standard 13. The weightage of this unit is again 20%. The things that we are going to cover over here is, first is meaning. What is the meaning of investment accounts? Just to put this in a simple words, most of us are well aware about our investment, which is known as fixed deposit. Now, if I'm keeping my fixed deposit in any bank, how am I going to record the amount that I am investing? How am I going to record the interest that I am going to receive from the bank in my books of account? This is just a general idea about investment accounts. There are many further things that we'll be covering under this topic when we'll be studying this chapter. Second is importance. Why are we supposed to prepare investment accounts and how they are going to be helpful to us? Third is alternatives of investment, which different areas can be prosper or we can go for investment options. Fourth is types. what are the different types that we are going to follow for investment. Lastly, and the most important thing on which there is going to be a long sum is accounting of investment. There is a box that I have placed in this slide which reads as examples of only fixed interest bearing securities. This means we are going to prepare investment account only for those investments which is going to earn fixed income. For example, if I take equity shares, now the return, that is dividend, that I receive from a company is not going to be fixed. So that is not a part of our chapter. We are only going to deal with the fixed interest bearing securities. I'll explain this in detail when we cover this chapter. And there are two words that are used over here, FIFO and average cost method. Again, this will be dealt with when we start the chapter. So this is all about unit 2, investment accounts, weightage of which is 20%. So as the subject name reads, accounting and taxation. Accounting basically covers this first two units, that is unit 1, departmental accounts, and unit 2, investment accounts. Now we are going to diversify to the next part of the subject, that is taxation. Unit 3, tax structure of India, direct taxes, the weightage of which is 15%. Under this unit, we are going to cover the first topic that deals with the basic concepts. Basic concepts is nothing, you can say ABCD of income tax. Now, what are the topics that we are going to study over here is, what is income? I hope you all are aware in general terms what is income. But we are going to study the definition under Income Tax Act 1961. Second is, what is previous year? In common English, if I will use the word previous year, they will be saying, sir, जो last year था वो हमारा हो जाएगा previous year. But for Income Tax Act, this is totally different. Again, we are going to deal with this topic. Next is assessment. If I want to explain you in brief, then I can say the current financial year is known as your previous year as per income tax, and the year following the current year is known as assessment year as per income tax, the details of which will be covered in the chapter. Fourth point is person. What is person? Here we are going to study an entire list of persons, that is a different categories of person that income tax defines. A short sum of 2 marks or 3 marks is likely to come from this topic. The last part of this basic concept is 3 words that deals with tax evasion, tax avoidance, and tax planning. These 3 words are core understandable topics that are basically going to be dealt with the chapter. Next part of this basic concepts is incidence of tax, bracket, inclusive determining of residential status. This topic is going to deal about, I need to determine that as per Income Tax Act, a person is resident of India or a non-resident of India. Now, what is the importance of determining the residential status? There are certain laws which says certain income earned by a resident will be taxable, while the same income, if it is earned by a non-resident, it won't be taxable. So before judging whether the income is going to be taxable or not, it is necessary for us to identify whether that person is resident or not. Moving ahead, we'll go to the second part of Unit 3. It talks about heads of income chargeable to tax. Basic understanding for the same. Now friends, this is the topic and I would like to take some more time to go in detail. Income tax. Income tax is something that is payable by each and every person whose tax limit exceeds a certain limit. Now, a person earning any sort of income can be classified into any of these 5 categories. So if I want to keep it like that way, I can say, आप दुनिया की कोई भी income earn कर लो, it is going to be fall under either of these 5 categories. So it is most important for us to understand what are these different 5 heads of income. Starting with the first one, it talks about income from salaries. Any person who is undergoing job, it may be a government job, it may be a private job. It may be a job with any institution. It can be any kind of employment. If a person is earning any kind of salary, the same income is going to be taxable under this head of income. Now, ऐसा तो ये simple लग रहा है. If I'm earning salary, I'll directly include that income under this head of income. But where the income tax knowledge comes to be used is like my salary do not include any X amount. It is subdivided into various allowances and perquisite. For example, my company is paying me uniform allowance. So this is an allowance that I'm receiving from a company. How much amount that I'm receiving by the company in the name of uniform allowance is going to be taxable. For example, if I am having a house on rent in the city, now my company is providing me house rent allowance. Now again the question arises, if I am receiving rupees 60,000 per year for house rent allowance, how much amount is going to be taxable under the head is again a question where the knowledge of income tax comes to the rescue. So under salary, we are basically going to learn each and every particulars that an employee is receiving from his employer, up to what extent it is going to be taxable, up to what extent it is going to be tax free. So this is all about this salary. We are going to have a separate chapter on this topic in semester 4, where I'll explain you each and everything of this in detail. Moving ahead, the second head of income is house property. If a person is owning any property and if he has provided that property on rent, the amount of rent that he is receiving from his tenant is going to be taxable under the head of house property. For example, I am having a flat which I have provided on the rent. It is yielding 2 lakh rupees per year as a rent income. It is not as simple as that 2 lakh rupees is what I am receiving and I am directly offering to tax under this head of income. Again, there are certain provisions that are supposed to be implemented before taxing that income. Like out of 2 lakh, I am allowed to deduct certain expenses. I am allowed to deduct certain percentage. So what is that percentage is again to be taught under this income tax act. Secondly, if I have taken any loan to buy this particular flat, the interest that I am paying on that loan is also deductible out of this income. So basically, what we are supposed to know is how much deduction can we get by the rent income that I am earning and how to calculate the total income of the rent. The third part, and third head of income is income from business and profession. Now, this is a vast topic covering n number of provisions under Income Tax Act 1961. To give you the general idea of this particular topic, I would like to say any businessman doing any sort of business is definitely doing that business to earn profit, right? So the profit that is being earned by the businessman is going to be taxable under this head of income. Now, again, it is not simple as it sounds. We cannot take that if I have earned a profit of 5 lakh rupees a year and it is directly going to be taxable under this head. There are certain additions and deductions that we are going to do in that profit amount so that we can reach to the final amount that is going to be taxable under this head of income. The same goes with the profession like doctors, lawyers, chartered accountants, cost accountants, etc. All these professionals earning professional income is going to be taxable under this head of income. So till now we are covered with 3 heads. First was salary, that is salary received by an employee from the employer. Second was house property, that if I'm owning any property and if I'm receiving a rent income out of that, it is going to be taxable under this head. Third is income from business and profession, that if I'm earning any profit or if I'm earning any professional income, it is going to be taxable under this head. The fourth topic is capital gain. If we'll see downwards, it is again computation of income under the head of capital gains in point number 3, which we are going to cover in this semester itself. Now the question arises, what is capital gain? A definition which is given under the act is any income that is arising out of the transfer of capital asset is known as capital gain. Well, it may sound technical, so I'll simplify it for you guys. If I'm having a property, I have purchased the property on 1st April 2020 at the price of 50 lakhs rupees. I am selling the same property on 30 June 2020 at the price of 65 lakh rupees. The cost price was 50 lakhs, the selling price was 65 lakh rupees. So simple calculation goes is 65 is my sale amount and the cost price is 50 lakhs. So the profit is 15 lakh rupees. The profit that I have earned by selling this particular property is going to be taxable under this head of income, which is known as capital gain. Again, it is not so simple as it sounds. There are certain calculations, certain adjustments that we are supposed to do to the selling price and to the cost price. That again we are going to deal in the topic number 3, that is computation of income under the head of capital gains. Last part, that is the 5th head of income, is others. It is said in income tax act, so income from other sources. If your income is not falling in any of the 4 heads, then automatically we are going to charge it to taxation under the 5th head, which is known as income from other sources. So friends, this is the heart of income tax. If we are through with the knowledge of all these 5 heads of income, I can ensure you that you have covered almost all the knowledge of the income tax act. To file a return, it is necessary to have a deep and core knowledge on these 5 heads of income. Moving ahead, I would like to go to unit 4, that is tax structure of India, indirect taxes. Make a note of it, friends. The one that was previously we have done is unit 3, tax structure of India, direct taxes, and now it is tax structure of India, indirect taxes. The weightage of this unit is 20%. Now what we are going to study under this unit? We are going to deal with the buzzword of this era, goods and service tax. Yes friends, GST. What all we are going to study under this unit? The first part is introduction. It is going to cover basically what is GST, why was GST implemented, when was GST implemented, and etc. Second part is dual GST. If any one of you is handy with this topic, you might be aware there are 2 kinds of GST that is charged. One is CGST, that is Central Goods and Service Tax. Second is SGST, that is State Goods and Service Tax. This is basically a concept of dual GST, which I'm going to explain when we are doing this particular chapter. Third and fourth topics are what are the advantages of GST, like GST Ayat, or what all are the benefits that we have received by this act. And against it, the 4th point is what are the limitations or what are the challenges that one is facing for GST. Next part is definitions. There are certain definitions like what is goods, what is services, what is supply, what is business. So we are going to deal with many definitions under this act. And last is composition levy. It is something like if you are not going to be a regular taxpayer, then you can be a composite taxpayer. Again, it is altogether a different concept that I'm going to explain you when we start with the chapter. So this is the basic syllabus. This is a brief idea of what accountancy and taxation is going to be all about in your semester 3. Just reviving it quickly, the first unit was departmental accounts. The weightage was 20%. A common example, I'm running a company which is having 2 departments, Department A, Department B. Department A is producing grey cloth and Department B is producing shirt out of it. Second is investment account, AS13. I took fixed deposit wala example that we are going to deal with how I'm going to record my investment amount and how I'm going to record my interest amount. Third is tax structure of India, direct taxes. The first part is basic concepts, that is ABCD of income tax that I told you guys, the weightage of which is going to be 15%. In this topic, at the end, we are having a topic of residential status that I talked about. A income that is earned by a resident is going to be taxable in India. Again, the same income, if it is earned by the non-resident, it is not going to be taxable in India. So we need to identify before taxing the income whether a person is resident or not. Unit 3, second topic was 5 different heads of income, of which I have given a brief knowledge to you guys. And the third part is detailed understanding of capital gains. The entire weightage of this 2 and 3 is 25%. And the last unit is unit number 4, tax structure of India, indirect taxes, where we are going to get a good amount of knowledge of GST, 20% weightage. Now, just to brief you out, you'll be having a long sum from unit number 1, departmental accounts, one long sum from unit number 2, investment account. You may have a sum from the residential status, that is the below part of the first topic. You are going to have one sum from the third topic, that is capital gains. And the last part, that is unit number 4, is basically totally a theory chapter. So this is about the syllables that we are going to study in your semester number 3. So friends, now it's the right time to test your knowledge. We are going to check how much you have retained from the first session of this lecture. What we are going to do is, I am having 5 MCQ questions in front of your screen. I'll be giving 30 seconds per question. You need to mark a correct option with you, and after completion of all the 5 questions, we are going to discuss the correct answers. I hope I'm clear with this. So now we are going to begin the 2.5 minutes of this round, and your time starts now. I hope you are ready with your answers. So we shall start now with the first question. The first question was, the current financial year is known as dash in the income tax. The correct answer is option A, previous year. Because we have learned the current financial year is known as previous year. The second question is, the year following the current financial year is known as dash in the income tax. The correct answer of this question is option B, assessment year. So I hope you are clear with this. The current financial year is known as previous year, and the year following the current financial year is known as assessment year in income tax. The third question is, there are dash heads of income in income tax. This was a very simple question, and the correct answer is option C. There are 5 heads of income. Fourth question was income earned from transferring, selling the residential flat will be taxed under this in income tax. The correct answer of this is option B, capital gains. I hope you can recall the example of I was having a flat. I bought it at 50 lakhs rupees and sold at 65 lakh rupees. Yes, Vince. The right answer is capital gains. And the last question was dash is not a part of set of departmental accounts. The right answer of this is profit and loss appropriation account. Because under departmental accounts, we are going to prepare departmental trading account, departmental profit and loss account, general profit and loss account, and balance sheet. Students who have not got the answers correctly, I request you all to again go through the first part of the lecture so that you can at least have a good knowledge of the syllabus. Now, moving ahead, we shall discuss the paper style that you are going to write in your VNSU examinations. Your paper is going to be a 50 marks paper. Question number 1 is going to be answer in brief. This is basically your short questions. There are going to be probably 4 questions, 2 questions of 3 marks each, and remaining 2 questions of 2 marks each. Just to give you a bit disclaimer, the questions that are going to be asked in short questions aren't going to be the direct questions. You need to implement the provision of taxation in order to get your answers correctly. So, students, while studying the subject, it is not important directly to cram the topic, but it is important to have a detailed knowledge of the subject and the provision of Income Tax Act. Second question is basically going to be your long sum. It would be a 14 marks question. You will be having an option in this question. Like you are going to be asked with 2 questions and you need to attempt any one out of those 2 questions. Weightage will be 14 marks. Now in case of third question, there can be 2 possibilities. One, it can be you will be having 2 questions of 14 marks of which you need to attempt 1 question. Alternatively, what you can have is you can have one sum on 14 marks against which you can have 2 questions of 7 marks each, and it will be your choice which question to go for. And last, that is question number 4, is going to be the short notes. They'll be asking you probably 5 to 6 short notes of which you are supposed to attempt any 3. Each short note is going to carry 4 marks. So this is a rough idea of the paper style. It may change, but more or less it is going to remain this as I have suggested you. As you will be solving the university papers in the latter half of the semester, you will be having a better knowledge of the paper style and the questions asked in the university examination. Moving ahead and to the last part of today's lecture of introduction, I am going to discuss scope of the subject accountancy and taxation. You will be saying, sir syllabus तो आपने समझा दिया, हम पढ़ भी लेंगे, but ये लाइफ में हमको कहाँ पे काम आने वाला है? So now I'm going to get to know where you can use this subject in your real life situations. First thing, you can be a direct tax expert. Basically, we see many people who are real practitioner of income tax returns. If we are supposed to file our own income tax, we are not going to do it by ourselves. We approach a professional who is expertise in this particular field. After having the core knowledge of the subject taxation, you can be yourself a direct tax expert and you can easily file the income tax returns of yourselves and your clients too. Second part is you can be indirect tax expert. You know, since last 3 years, GST is something which people find bit complicated to deal with because the accounting requires a detailed knowledge of the various provisions. In the new era, where there are less number of people who are in detailed touch of the subject, you can gain a detailed knowledge of GST and become an indirect tax expert. Because down the line, after 5 years, this is something, a trending profession that you are going to see in the era. The third part is professional courses. If you are pursuing any kind of professional course. It can be chartered accountancy, it can be cost accountancy, it can be any master's degree that you wish to pursue in near future. You are going to have a subject which is going to be known as taxation, where the knowledge what you are going to gain in this semester will be directly helpful to you. So again, the thing will be like you need to study once but need to gain its benefit twice. Last and most importantly, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you are thinking to pursue your own business, it is but natural you are going to hire a professional for your business. But it is again important for you to have a deep knowledge of your own tax liabilities, of your own tax regulations. And it is important to comply with the tax provisions. Like if you are doing any kind of business, you should be aware what are the rules and provisions of taxation that is going to be applicable in your particular set of business. So after gaining the detailed knowledge of the subject, it will be helpful to you to deal into your businesses, to comply with the taxation provisions and to comply with the income tax rules in an easier manner. In crux, I can definitely say that if you study thoroughly the entire semester with this subject, you are going to have a very good advantage in your future professional life. With this, I, CA Pujan Kapadia, would like to end today's lecture and wish to see you soon in my next lecture. Thank you all for patient listening. Thank you, friends.